Yo guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. I just saw Together, the new film by Michael Shanks starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie. This film was about a couple that moves into the middle of freaking nowhere when she accepts a new job and her effectively freeloading boyfriend comes along for the ride with not much to add and not much to offer. They experience something traumatic that draws them closer to one another as the film progresses, and I'll leave it at that for now as not to spoil the entire thing. But warning, there will probably be a few spoilers along the way here. I just don't really know how to talk about certain things without spoiling the film. So, in terms of the story is incredibly grotesque, but it's incredibly accessible. It really begs you to analyze every aspect of your relationship, whether it's a brand new relationship or you've been together for 50 years. I think it forces you to analyze who and what you guys are together and then versus what you guys are apart. It's really interesting and really compelling, and to develop this as a horror film, not as a drama, not really as a thriller, not as a rom-com. It's a horror film through and through with bits of comedy sprinkled in throughout. I find it really interesting that they were able to create something like this, that Shanks was able to create something like this in the form of a horror film. So I think that the premise alone is enough to get butts in seats. The theater was relatively empty, but I went to a 10:10 showing on a Wednesday morning, so people are probably working. But I don't know if this film is doing particularly well. Don't know, don't really care, other than the fact that I hope it does well, but it doesn't affect me one way or the other. I'm happy that I had a relatively empty theater and people weren't talking, chatting, because I find the more people you have in the theater, the noisier it tends to be naturally, but you just tend to get an asshole in there every once in a while as well. All right, I digress. Dave Franco is an actor that I think came from comedy, played like the stoner sort of guy, played some sort of campy character roles, but has lately been afforded the opportunity to show off his dramatic chops. And this film, Together, just may be his best performance to date. I still think he's incredibly funny. I'm not taking anything away from those comedic performances, but I think that what he does here in Together is his shining moment in Hollywood. He is able to blend bits of comedy and make this film accessible while just doing some wildly outlandish things and incredibly horrific and dramatic things. Brie is fantastic. She too sort of comes from comedy, but has again been given the opportunity to show off her comedic chops. And I think that being paired together, this actual married couple, it works in their favor and in the film's favor very, very well. Then I want to talk about the comedy. They insert comedy into the film later when things get really, really intense. And initially I thought, I don't like that they did that. I wish it remained a straight up horror, that there hadn't been any comedy present. And then I thought back to it and I realized how uncomfortable and squeamish I was in the theater, something that I don't experience typically, and realized that I needed that bit of comedy for levity. I needed it to happen because without it, I think that I would have felt perpetually uncomfortable from beginning to end. So the comedy works, it's inserted in the right spaces at the right times, it works for this film. Then we have, what's my favorite part is the sound design. From the very beginning, we get this intense intro into the film, and every bit of it just sort of envelops you in the film and in the story. It does so well to continuously reel you in and refuse to let you go, as if you're becoming one with the film. And I think that the score that's developed for this film and the sound design that's developed for this film and the sound editing for this film is just spectacular, and it lends the most of any piece of this film it lends itself so much to success more than anything else. And then the thing that I'm going to end up spoiling, because I don't know how to talk about this film without talking about it. There's a third character in the film. I am upset that I forgot to look his name up before, but he's the third character in the film, And he's an enigma. You don't know. Is he hitting on the main character? Does he hate the main character? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Is he just weird? And his role in this film takes a drastic turn as we come toward the close of the second act and move into the third act of this film. He's spectacular, but the way this character is written is even better. Again, he is an enigma. It's almost impossible to fully understand him, and while I think I do understand him by the end of the film, I think there are still pieces of him and corners of him that you're not able to fully grasp. I think they're there to analyze after the fact, but you don't really have full access to them, and that's good. It works for the film. So there's so many things working in favor of this film. Horror films are typically hit or miss for me. I rarely come out of a horror film going, it's fine. I either come out going, wow, I'm really surprised how good this was, it's as good as I expected, or it stinks. And this film absolutely falls in the category of, I'm really impressed with what I just saw. I didn't have low hopes coming in. I didn't have particularly high hopes either. I came in rather even-keeled with very few expectations, and Michael Shanks, Dave Franco, and Alison Brie blew me away. And this team of filmmakers did such a spectacular job of bringing this horror film to life and incorporating different elements from different genres, but making it so easily accessible and interestingly grounded while it's so wildly out of left field. It's such a crazy concept. But yeah, so with that, I'm going to give Together an 8.5 out of 10. This is a film that I'm going to try and encourage other people to watch. I know that my wife will definitely not watch this. This is not up her alley at all, and I will not subject her to this type of horror movie. But I highly encourage everyone to go out and watch this film. Wait for it to end up on streaming. That's okay too. It will get there at some point. But it's a very good film. Together, 8.5 out of 10. So until next time, peace.